Okay, what's up guys, it's Cody with 3D Printing and Technology. So for today's video, going to be building the Prusa mk2.5. It's the upgrade kit. So I'm upgrading the Prusa mk2s to the mk2.5 since the mk2s is an out of date model now. So with the mk2.5 upgrade kit, some of the new features are a magnetic build plate that's flexible, filament sensor, better bond tech gears, and pretty much an overall easier to work on hot end assembly. But anyways, let's get into the upgrade process. Okay, so here we have the instructions put up on Prusa's website. And then we got the printer here, still with the blue tape from when I tried to print the parts on the Prusa, but ended up printing it on the monoprice because I couldn't get on this printer. And then the upgrade kit with all the parts and stuff in it, with all the printing parts and then stuff they sent us. So on the website we got the instructions, so we're going to go with the disassembly ones. 9 steps, there's no suggested time. Preparing the printer. Then wax heat bed disassembly. So I want to unscrew the rainbow cover. So first we're going to take the blue tape off, raise the nozzle up while it's still working, and then unscrew this piece. That's be enough on the Z-axis and X-axis. Move it to the center. Be good. Now we can turn it back off, disconnect the power. Okay, so now we're taking the tape off. I would print with this till the bed's gone, but the part fan up here doesn't work, and then the bed's not going to put rubber, so I can't print with ptfe. Then Prusa won't answer my support email. So yeah, I'm just going to take the printer apart and install the new upgrade. So now I'm going to turn it around so we can get this screw off. This Allen screw pretty much just holds the door closed on the control board case. That's opened. Okay, so the next step would be to cut the wrap like this. That goes to heat bed cables. Cut the zip tie on it, but my Prusa mk2s kit did not come with a wrap like this for the heat bed cables. So we're going to skip that step. If you have that cable, you can cut the zip tie, but I don't. So next, we're going to unplug and then we need the heat bed thermistor, that cable, and then the So I do have a zip tie holding it to the y-axis, z-axis. I'm gonna cut that. The next step is to lay the printer on the PSU side, or power supply, so we can access the bottom of the print plate. Like that. So we're going to locate the y-axis belt holder and unscrew these two Allen screws. This one's difficult to do because the belt is in the way. Okay, so that is disconnected. Now we're going to release these 4 screws on the build plate. I don't have all 4 of them in. I've replaced some of them because I couldn't find them, because I've taken it apart too many times. But if yours is a stock kit, it should be an Allen wrench. But mine is not, so I need to get a screwdriver for it. So the build plate's completely detached from the printer. So we can set this build plate to the side. We'll no longer need it for the rest of the upgrade. Okay, so here is the build plate. Back the camera up. So it does look a little bit uneven. And then soldered heater cable, thermistor cable. That's what the back of it looks like. So I don't need it anymore, so it's set to the side. So now we turn the printer back on its feet. So once again, you need to cut the zip tie that goes around this piece right here. That's holding the cable in place, but mine's already been cut. So we're going to skip that on mine, but if you have that, you can go and cut it now. And then if you have the zip tie, it goes right here on your extruder, and cut that off too. As you can tell, mine does not have that. I've upgraded some of the stuff, so that's why mine's missing a few zip ties. Okay, so also you can unwrap the spiral cable all the way now to the extruder or rainbow cover. I have an extra zip tie right here that I'm gonna cut. I'm pretty sure we won't need this cable cover since they gave us 2 new ones in the upgrade kit, but hold on to it just in case. So the cable cover is off. Set that to the side. So now we're going to follow the cables from the extruder to the control board and unplug all of them. It says do not pull the cable. So look, it's going to be 6 cables altogether that we need to remove. Maybe this be a better angle. Okay, so that's pretty much all of them right here. It says not to put them away, but they came away anyways. So this next step is going to be focused on the back side of the extruder. Again, there should be a zip tie right here, but I don't have it on here. If you did, cut that in the cables. So do that and move the cables to both sides away from this piece. So now we're going to release all 3 screws. Holding the extruder body in place, one up here and 2 right here. So make sure to hold it onto the back side over here on the last screw, because they'll fall off if you don't. So I'm going to take these 3 screws out and then proceed to the next step. Okay, so here's where I'm at right now. I got all 3 screws removed from the extruder body. So I laid the body on the bed frame. So all the cables are off to the side. So this is going to be replaced by a new filament piece, so we can remove that and set it to the side. So first remove the X belt, keep it for later. Okay, so I'm not sure that's the right way to remove it. Cut zip ties or remove the X carriers from the smooth rods. That's these 2 on the bottom and 4 on the top. Okay. So I'm pretty sure it'll fall off after this. Yep. Keep the bearings on the rods. So here is the old X-axis back. So this is one we don't need, but we'll set it to the side for now. Okay, so the next step is going to be to disassemble the extruder. So here is probably one of the reasons why it wasn't printing good. Is the hot end is dirty, so once I get it completely disassembled, I'm going to clean that up as well. But right now we're going to remove the screws in the front print fan and fan nozzle. Okay, so here's the fan nozzle. Gonna set this to the side. So now we're going to remove these screws or release them up so we get the pan off. So it does have a nut on the back on this bottom one. Don't think it's gonna fall out. And then remove this one. Okay, so it does come loose. You can't remove it till you get the pin to probe out. So now we can do the same thing with this fan. And it says this fan will get replaced completely. in case you were curious why my hot end cables are different colors, it's because it's an E3D heater and thermistor. The stock cables that came with it broke, so I had to replace it. Okay, so that's the last screw. So we can set this down. Okay, so this fan is no longer needed, so we can set that to the side with the build plate. So next would be to replace the ptfe probe. Okay, so apparently I got the old model because the new ones only have one screw, but we got two. So we'll take both of them out with the same 2.5 Allen wrench. This is what caused me to take so long on the first one. The ptfe probe was too sensitive to detect the bed. I didn't have it set low enough by a fraction of a millimeter. Okay, so we got that out. Now we can undo it from the rest of the cables. So here's this. We can set this aside too. Okay, so now we can take the front print fin out. It says we need to keep it for reassembly. This doesn't work, so it's going to get replaced. So I'm going to set this off to the side. So now I got to remove these screws holding the extruder idler right here. It has two nuts right here, so be careful when you're removing those. Again, it's the same 2.5 Allen wrench. So now we can set this one to the side. So I'm going to do this next one just like that. So this is what we're left with right now. A par 3 disassembled extruder. So now we're going to remove the extruder motor with these two screws. This screw holds the extruder idler in place, so hold on to that as you remove it. We don't have to remove it all the way. Should be enough. So take it apart and set the pieces to the side. Remove the pulley because that will be replaced. This piece right here. All printed parts from the extruder will be replaced by new ones. So now I'm going to remove these two screws. Didn't realize. So now I'm going to remove these two screws. This is held in by T-nuts, so be careful of that. Okay, so we just took the extruder cover off this piece, setting that piece aside. So what probably happens, I'm going to switch to the print bed once we finish disassembling all of this, so I can do some maintenance on this nozzle. And also the print fan piece that goes right here blows onto the print in the bed. That piece is going to have to be replaced. So that's why I'm skipping around some of these steps. So next we're going to remove the hot end from this piece. Okay, so we're going to pull out from the bottom because there's a tube at the top piece. Says it should just push out. Okay, so as soon as I turned the camera off, it came out. But yeah, here's what it looks like. So this piece has some burn marks right here. There's that piece of side. Here's what the hot end looks like, and that's what I was talking about. It needs to be cleaned. That'll do it for the disassembly portion of the instructions. Okay, so now getting ready to reassemble the x-axis. So for that, we will need this new 3D print part. That is compared to this old piece. Prove that is the correct position. Yep, so that's the difference. So what we need now is the 2 zip ties that should come with the kit. It'll be in this bag right here, mk2.5. Then we'll also need these 2 M3NS nuts along with the zip ties. And then we need 5 of them, not 2, 25. So I'll get the other 3, and then we'll insert them into the 3 print piece. And these were the M3N nuts. We need M3NS nuts, basically square nuts. So I'll make that change now. Okay, so I went ahead and put the 5 nuts in. Got 2 up here in these holes, 2 down here, and 1 in the middle. It's a pretty tight fit. I don't know if it's like that with the Prusa G code or Prusa's 3 print parts, but my parts that I printed, they're not coming out. So that piece is done. So now I'm going to insert the zip ties into the X carriage. So that looks like this. I got 1 more to do on the other side. So it goes then through here and comes out through the back. So now we get to take this piece and position it on the x-axis. So I'm going to move that off. So this U-shaped piece right here is supposed to be the top. So when you're ready, just line it. Use zip ties. They have the square piece of the zip tie at the top on the instructions. So that's how I'll do mine. Not sure exactly how the bottom one's going to be held on yet, but these top ones are in place. So we'll get the prongs and tighten it up just to make sure. And then we'll get the other set of pliers and trim these, and then move on to the next step. So now that's in place, we're going to reassemble the belt part of it. So the whole X-axis belt system's getting moved around, so it's safe to take it all, safe to take it completely off, because the next few steps going to be doing something with the motor. So with the belt, we're going to start on this side. And pretty much with this end piece start set, that's where it's going to start. And just push the belt into it. So now you can get a smaller Allen wrench and just push it into place, or a screwdriver. So what we'll do now is take this belt, loop it around here, and go back through it, probably go through this bottom piece, so that it looks like this now. And it just comes back through. Okay, so we got it back through the X carriage around the X gear motor. Okay, so we got it around the pulley on the X motor. So before we connect it, we've got to raise two of these screws on the motor. And it will be this one and this one. Okay, so once the two screws are released, we want to rotate the motor this way towards the frame, so you can get a better tightened belt. So what we're going to do now is put the X belt back through here. And once again, you can use an Allen wrench or a screwdriver to push it in for a better fit. So now we can rotate the motor back in place, and then make sure it's tightened before you put all the way in. And once it's tightened, so that's good, you can screw the Allen screws back into place. Once you have it tightened back in place, you want to adjust the pulley on it. This piece right here, to make sure it's parallel with the rest of the system. I think this one is pretty good. So after getting all of that around and making sure the pulleys and the tension is on the X belt, now we're going to trim it. The instructions say you can use a wrap marker, but I don't think I have one that's running around, so I'm just going to guess on this one. We got the last one, stop set, cut it, then push it into place. So this finishes the X-axis assembly step. So now we're going to skip the E-axis step, like I said, because of the nozzle and the part fan, and go to the heat bed assembly. So the mk2.5 kit comes with two bed sheets. One's the heat bed, and the other is a steel sheet that you print on. So for this one, we want number 3 HP heat bed. So we're going to unwrap it and turn the printer around to get set up. So here's a better view of unwrapped. Make sure it's nice and level. On the back it has the thermistor taped with Captain tape already. That's what it looks like. And then here is what the thermistor and cable piece looks like. Okay, so here's what I need for this. I do not have the bed connected, it's just sitting on the frame for now to make it easier. But obviously you need the bed, the power cable, 2 M310 screws, 2 M3 washers, and 2 M3N nylon lock nuts. They should have like a black mark around the inside if you're not sure which one it is. Okay, so turn the bed around. The black one must go on the one that says ground. It's probably going to be the right one on yours. So put the black piece on, washer, screw, make sure it says ground. And then we're going to put the nut through it and tighten it. Next, we'll do the same procedure for the red wire. Then we'll tighten it a little bit more, but not all the way. So we'll get the Allen wrench and the pliers and tighten it a little bit more. Okay, so that's how it should look like. Okay, so it's the another warning. Make sure the black's on ground and red's on VCC. So these must be slightly inclined to the cover for the cable cover. So pretty safe to go and tighten them all the way now. So now that we got the cables connected, I turned it back around. And now we're going to reconnect the textile thread that wraps the cables and the heat bed cover. For the heat bed, we're going to need the 3M 3x10 screws, 3 M3N nuts, textile sleeve 6 by 300 millimeters, and the 2 3 printed heat bed cable cover parts. So for this step, I want to get the 3.5 to 3 hose, press the M3N nuts into it like that. Can't get it all the way, it's fine. You can use the screw to get down farther. Okay, so now I want to place the 3 prim part onto the bed. Think like this. You shouldn't be able to see these 2 holes, but had some printing issues. And then I'm going to turn it over, and that's what it should look like. So be careful with the wires. Make sure not pinching any of them. And then you get the first Allen screw and tighten it to the nut. Get the Allen wrench to force on it. So this is what it should look like. Also, you can see the magnets on the bottom of the bed plate. That's what's going to hold the plate that you print on down. Okay, so for the next step, we'll get the black thermistor cable, and we'll make sure it goes around this nut right here, or screw head. goes around this one and this one, and then wrap it a few times around the heater cable, so it looks something like that. Okay, so now once you got it wrapped a few good times around it, you can get the textile sleeve and start working it onto the wires. So once I get some further progress on this, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's what it looks like. So you want to leave a bit of the wrap exposed, but now once you got it wrapped a few times, you can slide it down to the cable cover. So that looks something like this. So now we can get the cable cover and put on here. You'll make sure it's completely flat once you get it tightened on here. So we'll get the last two M3x10 screws and attach it to the cable cover. So here's what it should look like once you get started. These cables should stay like that. Then the textile sleeve should be inside the 3 prime parts. Okay, so next step after you get the cable cover parts attached, you want to finish wrapping the textile sleeve around the rest of the bed cables. And just make sure you keep the thermistor cable wrapped. Okay, once you finish wrapping it, you want to slide the cable around just to make sure it's nice and smooth along the wires. So next we're going to be mounting it to the bed frame. Okay, so now we can tighten the middle piece of the print bed. So what we're going to do is they want us to move the printer into the workbench and tighten the two middle ones. Like something like this. You have a setup where you can see the underside of the bed. So I decided to turn the printer on the PSU side. I think it's easier way to do it. But for the first two set of screws, it's going to be the M3x8R screws. There should be 2 of them. And for the front 2 hose on the print bed. I'm pretty sure the previous screws that come with the MK2S would work, but we're going to use these just to make sure. If you're doing it this way, so be careful not to scratch your bed or bend it. I want to get these tight, but not too tight, so I can make sure the other screws are lined up. Okay, so now the instructions say turn on the PSU side to do the back 2 hose with the same M3x8R screws. So we're going to tighten these 2 screws up and then use the existing screws in the Y-axis belt holder to tighten it to the frame. Okay, so another thing to point out is that I skipped the extruder step. So if you do have the extruder mounted already, you'll make sure you slide the x-axis all the way to the right so it doesn't break if it falls. And then I've got all 6 screws tightened. I put them all in and tightened them back up already. So now we can turn the printer back upright. And that is going to complete the heat bed assembly. Do not put the print plate on it. I believe we'll do that on the calibration wizard once we get the printer turned on. So now I'm going to go back to the extruder assembly and start working through those steps. Okay, so for the extruder assembly, we can set the printer off to the side, pick up by the frame. So now we can get the extruder adder piece, 3 print part. Okay, so the kit came with the extruder bag. So I went ahead and wrote out all the parts that came with it, since we'll be using them all up in these following steps. Also, to note out that they recommend you print the 3 print parts off of the website, and they have the fan nozzle as one of the parts, but my kit shipped with one, so I'm not sure why there was a miscommunication on that, but I have 2 now. Okay, so inside the extruder bag it has a small portion of ptfe tubing. Be careful not to dump that out once you're emptying the bag out. So I'm going to put it into these small bags. And now we got the 3 print part, 2 of the pulley bearings, 2 M3NS nuts, a pulley shaft, and a Bondtech pulley without the hoe. So now I'm going to get the 2 M3NS nuts and put one on each side of the adder piece so you can see them through the hose. So next one, get the pulley and insert both bearings into it. Just be careful that they don't slip out during assembly. Sit like that. So now I want to get the 30 print part piece, the pulley with both bearings inside of it, and insert it like so. The instructions say to use reasonable force on this next step of getting the small rod and inserting it to the shaft. I'm going to take the bearings out so I can get this piece started. So once I finish this step, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so press it too hard and broke it, so I'm going to have to reprint this piece. Okay, so I reprinted the adder piece, this one right here, and went ahead and attached it. Somehow did the other one, but didn't use as much force. As you can see, it's still sticking out a little bit, not all the way through. Don't want to break this piece again, but it's just a pulley, so I don't think it'll be too much of a concern if it's like that. And I got the package of computer fans, or in this case print part fans, these right here. Got a 4-pack for about the same price as Prusa sells it on their website. So hopefully this works out. The only difference is the plug is not a deepen connector, but it still should work. Okay, so for the next step, we're going to be assembling the filament sensor. So we can set the adder piece to the side. We'll be using the extruder body 3D printed part. And we'll need the filament sensor piece. This piece or bag right here. And we'll need the M3x10 screw. And we'll need 2 M3N nuts. So now we're going to insert the M3N nuts into the extruder body. We won't be able to reach this right here as noted in the instructions, so they suggest extra time taken on this step. So get the first nut and put on the front piece right here. So use the screw and push it in further. Like that, and that should stay. So turn on the back side. And we use this hole right here for the second one. And we'll do the same thing. Push it in with the screw. Now we're going to insert the filament sensor. Be careful not to touch the black PCB part of it. So set the bag off to the side. That's what it looks like out of the bag. Okay, so we're going to get the 3D print part and turn it like this. You have this slot right here. So that's on the bottom, that's the top. And want the pins pointing to the back, to the left side of the board. And then we're going to insert it like this. Do not use force or you might damage the PCB. So yeah, that looks good right there. I just thread it in place. So now we will get the screw and tighten the board in place. So we can be using. So we'll take this side and just turn it like that. And we'll see a slot for the screw. So stick the screw in like so. Again, it's another 2.5 Allen screw. And we want to make sure that the filament sensor is tightened all the way to prevent it from moving around. Okay, so this piece is done for this next step. So we'll get back to the adder piece. I'll need one M3x30 screw. And we'll need 2 of the plastic washers, M3. Okay, so we can use this piece in the next step. So we're going to lay this piece like this on the side. Get the adder piece and place it like this, so this screw hole and this screw hole lines up right to be able to twist it into place. Okay, so first we'll get the screw and the extruder body, put the screw through the hole, and then we'll get a plastic washer, place on it, and then we'll take the adder piece, put that on next. Then we'll screw it all the way through the adder piece. Okay, so this is what we have. Got the adder and the extruder body connected with the screw in place and the washer on the outside. So next step we'll get the extruder motor and the Bondtech pulley with the hole for the lock screw. So here is the motor It should have come off your mk2.5 printer, and it would say extruder right here. And here's the Bondtech pulley. It will have the rock screw already in place. So we're tracing the flat part of the screw towards us. Going to use the cable outside. So we'll put the pulley on now, and want the screw be placed on the flat side so it makes a nice grip, and leave the pulley towards the top. The final adjustment will be made right to. So I'm going to tighten the pulley up. Okay, so now that's tightened, we want to rotate the screw 90 degrees to the left. So that now it's facing this way. So now when you get two M330 screws. One, two. Then we want to get the extrude body piece again and insert the screws on the back side. May need to screw them in if the hose not all the way clear. Okay, so now that we got the screws through it somewhat, enough to get it started, we're going to mount the motor on the 3D printed part. So I'll mount it like this, making sure the cable out is up, like making sure the cable out is pointing in this direction, and just going to screw the screws in enough just to get started. But before you do that, you'll make sure this plastic washer is still on the adder piece. So we're going to tighten these two bottom screws firmly and tighten this top screw just enough that keeps the motor in place, but the adder still has to move. Okay, so now's the time we're going to open this fully and use a piece of 1.75 PLA 3D printer filament to adjust the pulley. You'll make sure this piece and the hose around, and then you can tighten the gear fully onto the shaft. So this is what you want it to look like. I'm using white PLA filament, so you want it to come through the top part here, past the filament sensor, and go onto the teeth on the gear. Make sure it's running perfectly in the center, and then tighten the gear all the way. Don't worry if it doesn't come out the bottom just yet. Just make sure it's round. Okay, so now we can close the adder piece, put it back in place. So we need to get two M3x40 screws and two extruder springs. Put a spring on each screw. Okay, so you're supposed to put the springs and screws in on this side. And the new adder piece is in place. So now is the hot end cover piece. This piece right here. So we get the 3D print part, the hot end, a M3.5 screw, and an M3NS nut. Okay, so we got 3 M3NS nuts and 2 M3.5 screws. And we got the hot end sitting off to the side. So now we'll get the extruder body with it facing this way, and the hot end with it facing this way. The cables are going to be pointing off to this direction, but it's not really important right now. Okay, so we're going to slip the hot end like this. Hopefully it's a better fit than the MK2S, and it appears so. Yes, I still need to clean that, but I need to be able to heat it up to clean it. So much I get it built and then heat it up. That's what it looks like right now. So now I'm gonna get one of these screw nuts and the extruder cover and put it right through here. Then just make sure it's all the way in. Okay, so now get the extruder body with the hot end in place. And turn it over on this side. And there's 2 slots here for screw nuts. Insert them into here. So now that these screw nuts are in place, we're going to take the extruder body and extruder cover 3D printed parts and place them together. Both parts must connect. Make sure no cables in the way. So that looks like this. Now we're going to put the 2 M3.5 screws in these bottom 2 holes and tighten it into place. And this right hole. Okay, so next is prepping the cooling fans. We'll get the left hot end fan and the front print fan. Like I mentioned earlier, I bought a new hot cooling fan because the one that came with it broke. So that's what I have to work with. It should work. And then we get the new left hot end fan. The instructions have a brown and white looking fan, but one I came with was, when it came from mine, was black, but it's still the same thing, probably just different color variations. And then also to go with that, we need 4 M318 screws. Okay, so now that we got the fans and hardware ready, we're going to be on this side of the extruder. I want to get the motor wires in this slot right here, so it gives the fan room to mount. So now we're going to place the left hot end fan on the extruder. And the sticker side should be facing in, not out, so that the extruder gets glued properly. And the cable must be the top prep side facing out, so like this. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to put these screws in, just tighten them up to get them in place. And then once they are all in place, we can tighten them fully. And I want to do a diagonal pattern. So like I'm doing now, but once we get all them in there, we can tighten them all the way. So this is what it should look like now. So next we're going to mount the front print fin, but we're going to need the nozzle parts, the 3 print parts. So here's what I need for it. I need the 2 3 print parts, the main nozzle piece and the support piece. We need 2 M3 nuts, just 1 M3 nut, 2 M3 10 screws, and an M318 screw. So I'll put the nut through the support piece, be the thinner side, Now just slide the nut in place. Might have to push it with a screwdriver. So now we want to get the extruder assembly positioned like this. Get the support with the thick side going up here. And we're going to position it above the screw hole like this. So it's angled downwards. And we'll get the M3 10 screw and connect it to it. So here's this piece attached. I accidentally broke this piece in the process. It's not too bad, but I'm gonna hot glue it to make sure it doesn't come off. It's a really rude piece that they assembled, but anyways. So this piece is now hot glued in place. I'll adjust it later once and put the pin to probe in. Alright, so I got the fan support piece mounted. I glued the pin to probe in place for now. I can still move, but this side's pretty much hot glued together. It's not the best design in my opinion, but it is what it is. And then the extruder adder piece is in place. So now I'll connect this fan nozzle to the extruder. So I'll use the M310 screw. Go ahead and get started. It's off of the extruder. I'm using mine, the one I printed, so I can keep Prusa's as a benchmark. So, got this hole right here, right beside the hot end fan. I want to mount the screw and the fan nozzle right there. Don't have it started all the way. Guess it works since it only has one screw. So I'll finish screwing this in place and then we can move on to the fan step. Alright, so now I got the M3 18 screw and the part fan. So we're going to slide this in place. The nut bottom piece should fit right here, and then the screw should fit up here. So let's go ahead and tighten it up, see if it's positioned right. Believe it is. Okay, so I take this piece back off and push the nut back further into it, but it is on here now, so this is what it should look like. So now I'll move on to the next step, which is preparing the pin to probe. So we'll get the pin to probe, the new pin to probe, an M310 screw and an M3 and S nut. Okay, so now that we got it, we're going to start with the front print fan wire and place it under this clip right here. So now push the pin to probe very slightly through the mount, and you also have to create a loop for it. So pretty much push under there and make a loop like this for it. Okay, so this wire is under here. Gently push this through here. And they have theirs pretty far down. We obviously can adjust this right through. So push that cable back through, then push pin the probe cable. Okay, so I slid the square nut into this hole and tightened it with this screw, so it should stay. We'll adjust the position right around when we're doing the calibration. So it looks like it's gonna be good for now. Okay, so we're gonna turn the printer around for this next step, which is mounting the hot end to the frame. So move this up. So this is how they have it in the picture position, like so, like this. So we're gonna raise it up. Yeah, you guys can still see. So you can slide the cables under the roller belt and above the bottom rod. And you gotta get the fan cables through here. And then take the cables from the extruder motor and rev hot end fan. And do the same for the opposite side. So here's the fan cables. Yeah, they got both their extruder cables coming through. We're gonna remove the hot end cables off to the side for now. We can always put back on if we need to. So we'll need the M340 screw, M330 screw, and M318 screw. Okay, so we got M340 screw. Okay, so make sure the rods are pinched when you do this step. So we'll get the M340 screw, the biggest one, and put it through the top hole first. So take the screw in more, and then mount the rest of the screws. Now we'll get the M330 screw. This is the second longest, and it will go in the bottom right. So it should be this hole right here. We'll get this one started, and then the last screw will go on the bottom left, right here. And now we're tightening all three of these screws up and make sure there's no cables being pinched as we're tightening them. Okay, so now all three screws are mounted. So the hot end is in place. What it looks like from this side. And here's this side. Next, we're going to get the filament sensor cable. This is what it should look like, what bag it came in. Okay, so we're looking for this side of the cable. Looks like it has like a thing you push down to release it. The other end is just flat. And reads this side for the filament sensor. So strip it in place. Make sure all 4 pins line up. Now it's in place. Next, we want to gently rotate the cable clockwise to create a small loop. I guess that would work. Like that, I guess. So that will stay like it is. so next we need a nylon filament. So we'll look for that in the kit. Yeah, so this one right here. So we want to create a tip on one end. So this is what it looks like now. Up here, so this is what it looks like. So it'll stay in place. So now we want to use pliers to insert the end of the cut tip into the hole on the x-axis. Make sure it's nice and firm fit inside it. Make sure it fits good. Okay, so for the next step we need an M340 screw, M310, two M3N nuts, two 3' parts, the cable holder, and the extruder's back. So we're going to insert the M10 screw in the extruder's back, and we're going to tighten it completely. So it's going to be in this bottom hole right here we're going to insert it into. So now we're going to insert the M3N nut. So we're going to tighten it until it slides into the bottom hole for it right here. Not sure why we just didn't insert it first, then tighten the screw. So this is what it should look like. I'll make sure the nuts inside it completely, and then you take the M310 screw back out. So now I'm going to get the 3 printed cable holder and the M340 screw. Tighten it completely through the 3' part. And then about halfway we're going to add the nut on the other side. So this is what the piece should look like. The screws all the way in and the nuts halfway on. Now we're going to prepare the extruder's back. So we're going to turn it this way. So I think what we're going to do is going to screw the cable holder onto the back all the way up to the halfway positioned nut. This is what it should look like. We want to screw the 3' part, screw it all the way to the nut. Make sure it's flush with it, not go past it. Then once you can make it that far, finish screwing the nut on the opposite side all the way down until it's tightened. Don't go too tight or it might crack the parts, but this is what it should look like. I'm assuming it's going to go on the back like this eventually. Okay, so we got it positioned like this. Now we're going to push the cables from the extruder and the left hot end fan through it. So we're going to need to untie the cable on the left hot end fan. So we're running out of room with it. But we got these two cables. So we'll start by pushing the fan cable through. And then we'll start the extruder motor cable. So push them all the way through. So in this step we're going to push the part fan cable and the ptfe cable through as well. Still got to do like this. Not sure how far we're going to go through with all of these. Okay, so that one's... So that's what it should look like right now. And then we're going to insert the nylon filament into it as well. And then we're going to start push it back towards the x-axis. Okay, so now we're going to place the filament sensor cable through it as well. That's going to go through the top slot though. And then we can finish pushing it all the way back. So we're going to use 5 M310 screws and align them in place on this right here. And we're going to start with the middle screw. Okay, so now that all 5 screws are in place, this is what it should look like. So we'll push the sensor cable through this mirror slot and doing it with the rest of the cables. So next is probably going to be the textile sleeve. Okay, so for this next step, we're going to use the largest textile sleeve that it came with and 5 zip ties. Okay, so we're going to start off by putting everything into it except for the 3 pram part. Okay, so we're leaving the hot end cables out for now, but I want us to keep twisting it, make sure the textile sleeve is tight as possible around this piece, and then slide it back up. And make sure it's oriented downward so that we can zip tie it right there shortly. So it looks like this. So right to get the zip ties and wrap it around here. Okay, so now we'll get 3 of the zip ties and wrap it around it. We'll make sure the zip ties in this slot on the printed part. There's 3 slots. We'll get all the zip ties on it and then tighten them all up before trimming the ends. Also, I'm using an iPhone to film it with, which is why the quality and angle is kind of weird, I guess. The display on the Sony camera broke, so it's kind of hard to film. Hopefully it'll be fixed soon. So now we're just tightening the zip ties up. So we're going to take the 2 cables from the hot end, put it right here and zip tie them around the textile sleeve for the last 2 remaining zip ties that came with. This is an upgrade I like because with the MK2S there wasn't any spot to attach a custom hot end cable to it. Because if you saw on Instagram or previous videos that the zip ties wrap around the extruder motor to hold it in place. So I'm going to cut the 2 ends off for these, then insert the cables with the rest of the textile sleeve. Okay, so now I'm going to finish wrapping the textile sleeve along the rest of the wires. Do that. And then here's what it all looks like at the end of the cable. So next we're going to be prepping the filament sensor cover. So for the filament sensor cover, we needed 2 3 pram parts, 2 M310 screws, and the ptfe tubing, the small piece. So we'll get the cover piece and the tubing and insert it from below. Okay, so I put the ptfe tubing into the 3 pram part. So now we're going to locate the largest opening on top of the extruder. Looks like it's going to be this one. So we're going to carefully slide it onto here. So slide this piece on and then mount it with two M10 screws. So now I'm going to get the actual plug piece. I'm going to put it right here. This is what it should look like once we got done with the M310 screws. And that's pretty much where this cutout is. And so slip it on. And push it down to make sure it stays firm in place so it doesn't fall out once it starts printing. So that's going to finish the E-axis step up. So now we're going to move on to the electronic assembly since I've already got the heat bed assembled. So now what we want to do is keep the printer facing this way. And first we're going to take the control board door off. And then take the rainbow cover, that's what they call it in instructions. Take that completely off. And then we're going to prep the new 3D printed parts. Okay, so now that the cover's removed, the next step is optional. You can take the old spiral cable cover off and replace it with the new textile strip if you wish to. Pretty much take it off, put the new strip on. The instructions suggest you zip tie the top to keep it in place like this one for a while, but I don't think it's really necessary. But if you don't wish to replace it, you can just skip on to the next part of this video for the next step. The next step, I want to take the rainbow cover base. Here is my new one. I printed it in transparent color, but you can print in black or whatever color you wish. Since the filament sensor is on the extruder and not on this piece, it doesn't really matter what color you print it with. But you want to take the 4 nuts off the back of this and the 4 M310 screws and pretty much just swap them out, put the nuts on the back and get the screws ready for the control board. And here is what the textile strip looks like on the control board. Okay, so now that we got the screws in place, we're going to attach the control board onto the 3' part and then slide the cable, the motor cable through here and attach it to this frame. So here's what it should look like inside the case. So now we're going to slide the textile sleeve through this slot and mount it to the frame. So this is what it should look like once it's done. You have the motor cable going through that slot, and then the base is screwed into the frame with the board mounted. So the next step would be to mount the hinges that's going to hold the case door. So for this step you'll need the 2 3 parts, or 3, the 2 hinges and the door, 2 M310 screws and a square nut. So I'll put the square nut in the slot on the door and then position one of the hinges right here, make sure it's pointing upwards. So now I'll take the door and position it on the lower hinge and then put the top hinge on, a little bit loose so you can just slide it into place. So now we have a working door, so we can close it up like this now. But now we gotta get the top and side cable connector pieces and connect all the electronics back up. So now we got 2 cable clips. The bigger opening one is going to be for the extruder, and the smaller one is going to be for the heat bed. So we're going to get the small one and connect the heat bed cables. So for this step we need the 3' part, 2 M310 screws, and 2 M3N nuts. So now you want to put the textile strip from the heat bed into the cover. Make sure we get some of the textile strip inside. And then take the 3' piece and the nuts, put the nuts in the trap on the base, and then screw the 3' part and on the other side. Okay, so this is in place, but it doesn't keep it from sliding around. But now we're going to connect the heat bed thermistor and the heat bed heater. So this one should go in the bottom left side. And then the thermistor should go above the resistor piece. Those two are connected. Now we're going to connect the extruder cable clip. Again, we need the same thing. The M310 screw, M3N nuts, cable clip. But I also need the two cables for the pin probe and the left hot end fan. Okay, so with this upgrade, we need to connect two new cables to it. So we found the pin probe cable. Should be this blue, black, and white cable. I'll connect the ends to it. So you have two separate connectors going to your rumble board. And then we'll get the left hot end fan. That should be the one in the black textile sleeve. And we'll connect this yellow, red, black cable going to it. And it'll have two connectors coming out as well. And then we're going to press the cable textile sleeve into the slot in the rumble case. So we'll connect the cable clip same way we did with the heat bed cable. Just slide it in place and then use your screws and nuts to tighten it. So now that the cable clip is in place, we can start connecting the extruder wires. So we'll get the two pin probe wires. These are the two pin probe wires. And connect this big one on the bottom right of this spot. And then the white one goes in the middle part above the resistor next to the hot end thermistor. Next is the left hot end fan. So the big one goes in the top left. And then the small one goes on the right side of the resistor. Next is the extruder motor, yellow label E. It goes above the circuit for the fuse. Next is the extruder heater. It goes in the bottom right for the easiest plug. Then the extruder thermistor, yellow green heat shrink, goes on the right one above the resistor. Okay, that one's plugged in. Now the front print fan. This is the one that upgrades. It gets on the outermost right of the resistor. That's one I've upgraded, so I'm going to have to flip it around if it doesn't fit. The filament sensor cables go under the screen display. That should be all connected now. And then screw it back inside, and then the electronic assembly is done. So now we can move on to the calibration and first print. Okay, so now that we got the firmware flashed onto it, it was the mk2.5 firmware, we can plug the printer back in and turn it on. So it says Prusa mk2.5 OK because that's not been calibrated yet. So we're on to the calibration wizard. Okay, so first thing we need to do is raise the Z-axis all the way to the top to get both z-axes leveled off, and then we can do the auto home to adjust the pin probe, and then after that we can go through the calibration wizard. But one thing I noticed, when the z-axis is all at the top now, it gets stuck on the spool holder, so that is a problem. It's not major, but still it shouldn't happen. So now we're doing the auto home. So we'll go through the adjusting the pin probe right here. I think it's an acceptable range right now. So we can go into the calibration wizard. Okay, so first issue, we got end stop not hit motor X. So it may be the custom or the non-Prusa motor cables. So we might have to adjust these around and then try again. Okay, so I moved the cables around and tightened the zip ties. So now that it passed the X-axis end stop test and the Y and Z-axis test, it is running the bed and hot end temp checks. Okay, so I've checked the ports on the rainbow board, and apparently there's 2 ports that you can plug the filament sensor into, which I don't recall the instructions mentioning those 2 ports. But I plugged my filament sensor into the bottom one and it passed the test. So now I'm going to rotate the Z-axis to the top and level it out and finish with the rest of the calibration. Okay, so the next step was to calibrate the 4 points on each corner of the steel sheet without the steel sheet. Okay, so now it's in the bed calibration. We're at the point in the step where we can place the steel sheet on the bed. So looking at the sheet, it's arbitrary. You put on both sides. So strip this piece on. So we got these 2 screws at the top, either side, and place that as well. Tells you how far you can print with, or that tells you how to run the steel sheet with the bed. But it's ripped up. You can see it's not around. Let's throw that into place. And then we hit OK. Now it's measuring the reference height of calibrations 1 through 9, points 1 through 9. So that's going to come over to the K2S users. So now once that is done, it said the screw will be corrected for the calibration. So now it's preheating the nozzle for ptfe filament. Okay, so now we're going to measure the height of the nozzle. Basically just make sure the filament sticks nice and smooth to the bed, like a Rob Z adjust. So now that we got the first row calibrated, wasn't too good up here, but we finally got it in place right here. And you can see the finished one. And so now we're going to move on to the next step. I think it was at 0.350. Okay, so now we're trying to test print out. So after updating the slicer to slice the print, we will begin to print. Also, first when I turned it back on, I got a min bed temp error. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm pretty sure everything should be fixed on that, but we'll keep an eye on it just in case it pops up again. If it does, it'll be included in the review of the printer. So now we're gonna let it print for a while. Okay, so here's the first print off of this printer. So it's layers are good, which I was worried about because of the fan, but it's good. It's stuck to the build plate. It's not uneven. So overall, it's a good first print. Obviously, there's still issues I want to work through this printer, like the hot end was making a squeaking noise, and then I saw exclamation point 0 symbols popping up down here, and bed temp errors and stuff. So still issues that needs to be worked out with this printer. Maybe I'll include some of those in the review video. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up this video going from the Prusa mk2.5 3 printer, which my barely worked, to the Prusa mk2.5 3 printer. This was a video that I wanted to do to give you guys an update on where it's been at for a few weeks. And also I know that this printer is going to be outdated soon. Probably as soon as the video gets uploaded, it'll be about time for the sensor upgrade kits to start shipping. I really just need to get a printer working that was a decent build volume so I can print bigger parts on. So if you like this video and want to see it raised videos first, make sure to click subscribe. So that's going to end today's video. Also, leave a comment down below of what printer I should review or make a video of next. And I'll see you guys next time.